first visualization. We can go to File, Save, or Save As, and just name it My First Visualization. Now it is a Power BI file, PBIX. You can also have it as a template file if you're creating a template. We're not going to do that for now. So now it's saved. You can close it, and so I will now open it up again, Power BI Desktop. And then I can go to File, Open, and open it up again. And there you can see it in my recent items. So I went to the exit right at the bottom previously, so now I've opened up my visualization. And there it is. To section 3 of this course, and we're going to start looking at formatting our visualizations. Now, the first thing we need to do is find out where the formatting is. So, if we're using the older version of Power BI without on-object interactions, so we still have a visualizations pane called visualizations and not build visual, then we can do this by clicking on a visualization and having a look at the icons that we've got running across the top. Add data to your visual, format your visual, and add further analyses to your visual. Now, this visualizations pane will always be shown in this particular version of Power BI. You can collapse it, but it will always be there. You can expand it later by clicking on the two chevrons at the top right. So, whereas we can add data to your visual in the Build Visual section, we format using Format Your Visual. So, if we click on this icon, we'll be able to see all of the various categories for formatting. And we'll have a brief tour of these in the next video. Have a quick look around the formatting pane, and this is for all versions of Power BI. So, first of all, click on a visual. And then, depending on your version of Power BI, either I click the Format Your Visual icon, or I go to View, Format. Our formatting is divided into two tabs, Visual and General. Now, the items that we've got here in General will basically be the same for all visualizations. They won't change. The ones under Visual will change depending on the type of visualization that you're using. So you'll see different items, for example, a pie chart. Now, all of these formatting options are separated into different categories, and I can expand them by clicking on the arrow here. And you may find there are categories within categories. So I could go into Grid and then expand vertical grid lines if I wish to do so. Now, not every option will be available to you. So you can see vertical grid lines is currently set to off, and so I can't change the color. And if you can't do something, it's generally shown in a grayed out color. If I want to collapse a particular category back up, I just click on the arrow, so whether that is a subcategory or a main category. And you can see there's this little scroll bar that I can go up and down through the categories. Now you'll notice that there is a search at the top, so if you're looking for a particular item, say I was looking for grid lines, then I can just type it in and only those items with grid lines will be shown. So I'll click X to clear that search. And then there is a ... here in the top right hand corner next to Visual and General. If I click this, then I can expand all categories, I can collapse all categories, and I can click on more options. I can also reset all settings to default, so if you make any changes to a visualization in the formatting, you can change the formatting back to the original. You'll also see in each category at the bottom there is a reset to default as well. And I've got more options. So this opens up File, Options, Options and Settings, goes into the Report settings. And I think with regards to the formatting pane, the only option I've got here is expand all subcategories by default when you open a category. So if you're not using the on-object interaction, then if you want to format, then you go to the Visualizations pane and you go to Format. Just note that when I right and click on a visualization, I don't see anything to do with formatting. Now, I should also point out that newer formatting options are being added all the time. So if you see in the video a formatting option that you don't have, it could be that you don't have the latest version of Power BI and you should update to the latest version. This is especially true if you are using a version from January 2022 and earlier, in which case all of the formatting options are in a completely different order. So I would urge you to update as soon as possible. So this is how you can see formatting. If you are not choosing on-object interaction, you go into the visualizations pane and go to Format Visual. Now let's see what happens if I go into File, Options and Settings, Options, and in the Preview features, I put on-object interaction back on. So now I will reload this visualization using on-object interaction in my Power BI desktop. And I'm using on-object interaction. And we can tell this when I click on the visualization that the handles around it are circular instead of consisting of lines. Now you'll see that there is no visualizations pane and there is no formatting pane. So how can we format a visualization? Well, there are several ways to show the visualization pane. First of all, I could go to View and Format. So that shows the formatting pane. Now you'll notice that it has closed the data pane. I've got here on the right hand side a pane switcher. So when I have data and format and maybe the visualization build a visual pane, I can switch between them, or I can right and click on the one that's not being shown and say open in new pane if I want more than one pane to be present. Now, by default, the pane switcher will not be shown if there's only one icon. If you want to ensure that it is shown, then go to View, Pane Switcher, Always Show Pane Switcher, or I can right and click on an icon and check Always Show Pane Switcher. Now, another way of showing the formatting pane, so if I close that, is by right and clicking on a visualization, and you'll see that we've got Format in the context menu. So I can click on that, and that will also open the Format menu. Now notice the difference when I do that. You can see that the handles have been replaced from being circular to being square, and in fact they're in a different color. So I'll just show those two different options again. If I click on a visualization, we have got circular handles, and I can go to View, Format, and still have circular handles. However, if I right and click on a visualization, go to Format, I get square handles. I can also get the square handles if I click away and go back to the visualization by double clicking on it as well. So what's the difference between these circular handles and the square ones? Well, the circular handles indicate that you want to use the visualization. So I might click on a particular item and it might interact with other visualizations. I'll just click away from that by clicking on some white space. However, if I double click on the visualization or right and click and go to Format to get the square handles, this tells me that I want to focus on formatting. So now if I was to click on something, you notice that it's not interacting with that piece of data, it's interacting with that element of the visualization. And also notice that in the formatting pane, it's now showing me the category values because I've just clicked on the values. If I click on a total, then it will go to the category total. All of the other categories are still there. It's merely showing me what I just clicked on. So I'll click on a column header, and it's now showing me column headers. So this is a great way of going to a particular category in the formatting pane quickly. Now, regardless of whether you're using on-object interaction or not, you should know that the formatting that we've got available is basically the same. So they will be in the same place with the same options. It will just be a different way of getting to a particular category. Also notice that the General tab has been changed to Properties, but the things that are in it are basically the same. And there is the ... next to the word Properties. Again, that is basically the same. Why is this new feature called On-Object Interaction? Well, the good thing about this is that it gives me additional ways to format, so I don't necessarily need to use the formatting pane. Now I'm concentrating on formatting, and I've got these square handles. I can right and click on a particular element, and I can go to Format Values, but I've also got this context menu here. So I can change the font size, I can increase the size, decrease the size, I can change what the numbers are being shown in, thousands, millions, billions, and trillions, for example. I can add bold, italic, underline. I can change the fore or the back color. So this is the fore color, what the text is in, and this is the back color, what's behind the text. I may be able to change the alignment, word wrap, and the number of decimal places. This adds a decimal place and this removes a decimal place. And I can also change the borders and the grid. So all of this could be done from the context menu, and this is a lot easier than having to find the particular option in the formatting pane. So the on-object interaction is here to give a Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365 familiarity on how to actually do the formatting. So you can select something, right and click on it, and we get this additional menu. We also get the format pane if it's open at the right category. Now, while we are in the formatting pane, we may also be able to double click on a particular item, like for instance the word total, and change it. So I could say subtotal, for instance, and I'll change it back to total. I can also change it back by clicking on the undo button right at the top. So all of these features are not available if you're not using the on-object interaction version of Power BI. Now, I won't be concentrating in this version of Power BI on all of these context menus, in part because there are many more different options in the formatting pane. However, you should go to this context menu as your first place if you're more familiar with using this sort of formatting, and then have a look at the additional options here if what you are looking for is not in the context menu. So for most of this course, I will be using the formatting options in the format pane instead of using the on-object interaction. However, it can certainly be a lot quicker to get to commonly used formatting options. So if you're using the on-object interaction, then to show the format pane, you can go to View, Format, or you can right and click on some white space, or indeed anywhere, and go to Format. And if you want to concentrate on formatting, then you should double click on a visualization, or right and click and go to Formatting, and then we've got these square handles all the way around, and then we can do things like right and click on a particular element and see a context menu, and we can also double click on some words and be able to change them. And this is how you can access the format pane while using on-object interaction.